Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to recap the UFC BJJ Road to the Title, a card that ended up being much bigger than we thought it was going to be. We are also going to recap Polaris 32, the women's squads event, Team North America versus Team Europe, and talk about a little bit about jiu-jitsu news. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, my co-host.
Miranda.
Hey, Miranda.
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I have no idea why I did that like an old school radio announcer at the end there.
What do you mean?
I got very funny with my voice suddenly, like I never do.
I mean, sometimes you got to do that.
Got a little bit of flair on a Monday. So, a lot of stuff's happening this week. In news this week, IGA happened. Newsflash, Team Kasai won. If you looked at that team, not a surprise at all.
Yeah, no,
we are not going to talk about that today because it literally just finished like less than 12 hours ago. We have a lot of stuff to talk about with UFC and with Polaris, so we're probably going to bump that to next week. That'll just be next week's show. We'll run through AIGA. Is always, they're super cool events. They are very long and very hard to cover, so we'll probably go through and pick like the best matches to talk about. There's a lot of guys on all of the teams, and I think there's some really interesting matchups, notably Roberto Jimenez versus Giancarlo Bodoni. Yeah. It was a crazy match with Fabricio Andre on there. Like some really, really fun matches that I'm amped to watch and break down this next week, but we're not going to do it this week. We're going to do it next week. Miranda, you have one note on...
Yeah, I have the Jason Wolf note because like he, I guess at some point over the weekend, slammed someone else. And then when that happened, it like clued in my head, and I was like, oh, because he was like, "Can I slam him?" And he was like saying it out loud, I guess, to his corner before he did it, and then still did it. And it reminded me, didn't he do that UFC?
He did it to
at Fight Pass?
Carlton.
Fight
but
Pass.
That wasn't as much of a. It was a slam.
No,
yeah.
Not that one. The Fight Pass one, where he was carrying the guy around the mat, and he was like, "Can I slam him?" And the ref is like,
Fury.
"I'll give you 12 points."
Oh, no. He carried him out. Yeah, it was Fight Pass Invitational. He carried him.
He was carrying him around the room.
Yeah, and he was going to try to walk out of bounds. And he's like, I'm going to take all all the points.
That's what it was.
If you walk out of bounds, I'm going to take all the points.
I couldn't remember. And I was like, dude, that's like the third time Jason Wolf has done something stupid like that.
It was just very funny.
You can't slam people.
I mean, you can sometimes.
You can sometimes, but
not AIGA.
Fight to win.
80cc out of a sub. And then apparently UFC you can as well. Maybe. We still kind of didn't get clarification on the Carlton rule for that.
That's true.
But regardless, actually, we're going to talk about UFC BJJ.
I think if you would have allowed slams, we would have saw more.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Some of the guys, I don't know.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Question.
We're covering AIGA next week. AIGA, you can't slam.
No.
Found that out the hard way, unfortunately. But he uses it as a technique. In other news, Lovato won NoGi Brazilleros. So Corey threw it in the chat today, and I was like, wait, I thought he had already done this, and then I reread it like four times.
It just said Brazilleros.
Wait, yeah, but if you read further, it's like he won NoGi. Lovato is now the only dude at 40 something. By the way, 40.
Well, they don't test it Brazilians.
Hey man, I'm speaking of that, the next piece of news we have. I love that they don't.
Yeah.
He now is the only dude to ever win everything in Gi and NoGi, which is such a wild stat.
Oh, that's cool.
It's super cool. It's like, because that means he's won Worlds, and that's a short list. He won Worlds in 2007. He won Europeans. He's won Pans. He's won, what am I thinking of? Europeans, Pans, Brazilleros, and Worlds. Yeah. And he's won that in Gi and in NoGi at black belt. Keenan did it in the same year at Purple, the double Grand Slam, doing it Gi and NoGi. I think he might have done a weight in absolute as well, like crazy. I think Margali almost did it. And what else? Yeah, there's like, but at black belt, he's only got to do it ever.
Lovato also did, he did that freestyle wrestling tournament.
Oh yeah, and senior
worlds. Is that what it was?
Rob posted it, and I'm gonna look.
I think it was senior
Masters U.S. Open Freestyle Wrestling Championship. Yeah. Somebody has a list of Lovato's accomplishments, and IBJJF World Champion 2007, 3-time NoGi World Champion 2010, 11, and 13, 3-time Pan Champion 2007, 8, and 10. Pan NoGi Champion 2024. He just won that. I forgot about that. 2-time European Champion 2007, then 2022.
If he's a Pan champion, then they tested him, so then he's fine.
IBJJF European NoGi champion 2024. I feel like these tournaments weren't even around 20 years ago. Some of them weren't.
Yeah.
Then we have 2-time Brazilian and CBJJF Brazilian Nationals 2007 and 2013, and IBJJF Brazilian Nationals in 2020. NoGi Brazilian Nationals in 2025.
And this was all after he retired.
14 IBJJF majors in 21 seasons at black belt, over 18 years before the first and the most recent championships. 3 IBJJF majors, one over the age of 40. IBJJF Grand Slam champion 2007. He's the first competitor to win all 4 majors, Gi and NoGi. That's, by the way, Gregor Burton on the Flow Grappling on Facebook. Shout out to you, man. You wrote it out perfectly, and I just stole the whole thing from you. So shout out to you for getting that together.
Some wild shit.
Dude, it's like we watched Lovato. What did he silver this year, right? At ADCC?
Yeah.
And it was a weird year for ADCC, but still, like, dude beat everyone who showed up to that tournament.
Yeah.
Aside from, who was it? Was it Bodoni? Was the last?
Yeah.
Bodoni in that. No, because J-Rod got second. Was Lovato third?
Lovato?
Whatever. Lovato is still out there doing the damn thing, and it is wild that he is like 21 years at black belt and still literally that guy. Not a whole lot of other dudes. Him, Cyborg, Wagner. End of list for guys that are still doing that well competitively at adult.
Silver at 99 kilograms.
It was 99. Okay, so Bodoni was 88.
Yeah. So he lost to Kynan.
Okay. Like everyone else does.
Yeah.
Like ADCC Kynan and Bodoni are different dudes.
Yeah. Lovato.
Yeah, man. Crazy. I'm a huge fan of Lovato. I like his game. I love watching him on the Fight to Wins. He has his own custom walkout for Fight to Win, and I love it every time he's on Fight to Win because it's this really cool, like, custom Lovato walkout that's awesome. Bellator world champion. Like, that dude is living his best competitive life, man.
He is.
So, speaking of tournaments and competition, Francisco Lo pops at Pans, accepts a 3-year ban for a metabolite of DHC-MT. That sounds like a country music station.
Turinabol.
Basically, Turinabol, Nodulone, and Deca.
Well, Nodulone is Deca.
AKA Deca. Thank you, Miranda.
Yes.
Yep. You typed it out, and then I just read it anyway.
I pulled the street terms, as we would say.
The scientific name, dethyl hydrochlomethazine testosterone test.
Yeah.
DECA test. He popped. He released a statement that was like, I was injured. Yeah.
Yeah, I took these things to get over my ACL injury tear rather than having surgery.
Which, if you've watched him walk at any tournament ever, the dude is covered in 2 to 3 rolls of tape. Like, obviously,
he is.
They're torn and, like, broken. I don't know. We talked about this on a bunch of the pre-show. I'm probably going to paraphrase a lot of kind of what we talked about. But, again, on the Grappling Miranda, it's not really... I don't really make any... begrudge any athlete for doing anything that they need to do to take care of their body in a really tough professional sport. You have to adhere to the competition rules that you are competing in. If they test, if they don't test, that's on them. If you're going to operate and you're going to compete in an organization that tests, you can't.
He also knows, like, just because he's banned from that doesn't mean he can't do... He can still do Brazilian IBJJF events because that's different.
Yep, different jurisdiction there for them.
He can also do
super fights, UFC. Like,
he can do BJJ stars.
Hey man, go do whatever you're gonna do. Again, you're not gonna see him in IBJJF for 3 years. But like, again, we've talked about it for years and years and years. Like, it is not our place as enthusiast press to kind of talk about what athletes do, what they don't. He popped. We hopefully will get a chance to see him in other events for the next 3 years because he has an interesting game. He's an interesting dude, and
he's fun to watch.
He's fun to watch. Yeah, he's entertaining, for sure. You have a.
I have Langaker. So if you go to his Francisco Lo statement on Instagram, the comment that pops up on mine, I don't know if it just automatically pops up on everyone's, but mine is Tommy Langaker, and his comment was. So you're saying you had no clue Turinabol and Deca was on the banned substance list?
Langaker is very cheeky, and it kind of makes me laugh. I'm curious if Langaker ran into Lo in one of these tournaments.
Yeah.
If they're in the same, I'm very curious if that happened. But again, so yeah, he pops. We'll see him in 3 years at IBJJF. Hopefully, we'll see him in other events prior to that.
Who almost broke Langaker's foot off and it went in like a weird...
No, he kicked him. It was NoGi.
Okay.
NoGi like kicked because it was the year that Tynan got DQ'd because he went
Okay.
backside. He violated Rule 19 of the illegal techniques thing for IBJJF.
Yeah, so he
and then
that was on Francisco Low.
And yeah, I'm saying, and then the guy kicks him in the knee,
Yeah.
like kicks literally like kicks his knee out in the following match in the finals.
Yeah.
Also in news, we
Good
have
times.
I'm gonna forget it because it's early here. I'm gonna forget it. Super excited. Polaris 33 announced Owen Livesey versus Frederick Rosgrove for a squads. We're gonna have Team South America versus Team Asia and Oceania. Super excited. There's a lot of really, really exciting guys or women or wherever they do it coming out of
It's men. I think.
Asia and Oceania that I am ecstatic that they're going to pull under Polaris card. You know they're going to get Zandy God. Give me his name. Levi Jones-Leary, because he's under an exclusive European contract with them. Like, you know he's going to be on that squads team. We haven't seen him in a minute.
Well, and we saw his lady in the lady squads event.
So super excited for that. And again, Frederick is really making a huge name for himself in Germany and Octagon now. And again, we love seeing Owen. So that's a matchup that I'm really excited for. And like they announced that, I went, oh, I got so excited for it. And so I like when matchups can do that for me still after this many years of like, oh, that's a matchup I kind of want to see. Like two guys that are really going to go at it with the wrestling top position.
I hope Owen Livesey knows that he's going to be from Thailand there, that he needs to come early because, like...
Oh, he's in Thailand now, isn't he?
He's in Thailand.
Yeah.
So I don't know when he's coming back, but, like, I'm assuming Thailand too...
Hey, man, don't get jet lagged when you're fighting,
that's
fighting the
gonna be
Neanderthal.
a horrible jet lag.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. That's happening September 13th. So that does it for news. Miranda, any other news that we got?
Not that I'm aware
We're
of.
forgetting a bunch of stuff, but let's move on to the recap section of the show. UFC BJJ 1, Road to the Title, whatever they're calling it now. We didn't realize, I mean, obviously on last week's show we talked about it a little bit, but I for some reason thought this was running like Tough, where the show would end and then it'd be like a week or two, and then I didn't realize that it was going to be like the show was going to end, the next day they're going to fight for the titles.
Yeah,
I just didn't realize that.
I thought they were just going to be the 55-pound champion, the 170 champion, and
For like UFC, they would do a Fight Pass Invitational again and have these guys main event for the Fight Pass Invitational.
Mikey and Harrison. I didn't realize it was going to be a whole card. Like
Yeah.
that also confused me because I go to look at it because I was curious like what time things started because I wanted to know like do I have to watch this at the gym or do I have to watch this after the gym? And
The whole thing streamed on YouTube.
and then I was like, really?
Yeah, the whole thing was live on YouTube on the UFC's YouTube page.
Oh,
it was
wow.
awesome. It was also on Fight Pass too.
I watched
But
it on Fight Pass.
I watched it on YouTube because the YouTube I pay for premium is phenomenal. You can go back. It's like it's my favorite player of any service. Fight Pass is pretty good, but man, YouTube is figured out like live streaming. If you're not like a streamer for like event streaming, YouTube is the best platform for event
Are
streaming.
they American or are they another country?
YouTube?
Yeah.
It's Google.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you Google on YouTube.
Okay. I was just curious because, I found out that Spotify was like from like Denmark or somewhere in Scandinavia. I was like, wow.
Yeah, YouTube is. I like YouTube a lot. It's the only service that I pay for. I pay for other stuff for my wife, but it's the only one that I pay for that I use because I like watching guys build dumb robots and speedrunners. Besides the point, this was live on YouTube. Let's kick it off with a 135-pound champion. We had Mikey Musumeci defeating Rerisson Gabriel with a nasty heel hook.
In round 3.
Yeah, this is what in the last round. It was not a 5-round match.
Yeah.
This is what we expected, and it really went exactly how we expected. If you watched any of Mikey's runs in 1FC, this is what it looked like. Mikey puts his leg forward. Rerisson does a pretty good takedown. Knew Mikey was going to do that. Does a very nice takedown.
The foot sweep, because he did the...
Did it with some vigor.
He did like a foot sweep rather than... Generally, people either grab the leg or they do something. He like kicked that foot out. I was like, good for him.
He did it super aggressively, too. And Mikey was very ready for it. He had Cobrinha and Dorino in his corner. He was very, very well prepared for it. And then Rerisson...
He had who and who?
He had Cobrinha and Gilbert Burns. Dorino were in his corner.
I didn't know that was Gilbert Burns' nickname.
Dorino?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, for whatever reason that didn't...
Yeah. What's his brother's nickname? Better question.
Oh, I don't know.
Herbert Burns.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So, yeah, I don't have a ton other than like Mikey is a wizard and Rerisson is primarily a gi guy.
Yeah.
Or even if no gi guy, like he's a newer black belt that absolutely one day will probably be a world champion in one of these things.
Yeah.
Like he will be that guy, but this was very clearly too much too soon. And Mikey was winning in every exchange. Rerisson was doing a phenomenal job.
And I really wonder if, I don't know how much time was between the show, the taping of the show, and this. Because this was not, I don't think this was taped live. I don't think we were watching it live. But I
think we were. Yeah. I think it was live.
I don't think so. I think they taped all of this a while ago. I think it was taped.
I think the show was taped.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then I think this was live.
Between the show and BJJ one, how much time do you think?
Oh yeah. I think it was I think it was only a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that long.
I was just, you kind of have to prepare yourself to go against Mikey Musumeci. And I would think if you're taping a show and doing a bunch of shit like that, are you really prepared?
I was talking with another chat that I'm in with a bunch of grappling guys.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how, unless you have a size advantage on Mikey, how do you beat Mikey? And it was, and my only response that anyone could agree with was basically, you have to just be in, put pressure on him, try to pass, and then come out. And you basically just can't let him ever attach and start getting into something. You just have to essentially stall him from the top, but be super aggressive in and out with it.
I think you also have to frustrate him.
But that's the only possible way that you could beat Mikey right now, because unless you have a size advantage. Like at the weight, like we were talking about we were watching this live, and I was texting some people while we were watching it. You're not in the gi. Like, we were talking about watching Mikey's guard.
Yeah.
You're not going to pass Mikey. He goes, even if you start passing Mikey, he has a phenomenal guard. Like, go back and watch his IBJJF World Championship runs. Like, he is not just a limited guard player. Like, he wins world titles from the guard numerous times. Like, 4-time IBJJF World Champion, like most winning American of all time in the IBJJF, multiple division world champion. You're not going to pass him. Like, Gabriel Souza did it, but Souza's way bigger than him. Mikey allegedly had COVID, and Flo wouldn't let him pull out of that match. Yeah. Then he beats Gabriel Souza relatively easily again in one championship when they rematched. You can't pass him. He's not really going to play takedowns with you, so maybe an ADCC, but that's one of the reasons he's not done ADCC is he's like, I don't really like wrestling. I don't really want to work him wrestling. I don't need to work him wrestling. Now he's under an exclusive contract with one. Now he's under an exclusive contract with UFC, where it's like he just isn't going to have to wrestle. Yeah. And like, okay, like that works with your skill set. So takedowns are out of the table. You can't sweep him probably, because then he's just going to get onto your legs and enter onto your legs while you sweep him. So good luck establishing a top position that you might be able to pass from. You can't get his back because you can't really force him to turtle or run through, because he's going to get your leg while you're doing that. Yeah. Plus, on top of that, when he gets to top position, he's a world championship level black belt in his own passing. Like, you forget, he's also a phenomenal passer.
He did a bullfight, a Toriando.
Yeah.
Like a perfect Toriando.
And it was like
in a way that I'm like, holy shit, that's like.
The timing on his Toriando was like, it was talking to people via text while this was happening. Yeah. And it was like, oh yeah, and we also forgot that he can pass like nobody's business. And it's just because the way that he passes Rerisson Gabriel with this Toriando was like, yep, I have not seen a more clean Toriando at that weight ever. It was just, and he stepped around. The timing was beautiful. It was perfect. A little up on the corner there. Yeah. I do not know technique for technique if there is anyone better in the world at bantamweight. The only match that I'm honestly kind of interested in is like Gi Ocasio, because I think Gi Ocasio is the closest guy that we're gonna get, like an Eddie Cummings of like understands the leg locks well enough to like a deep extent. Yeah. Where he will have some parity with Mikey in the counters. Like Mikey will go there, and then Gi will have an answer. Whereas Rerisson had like good defensive options, but at no point ever had any counter offense. But again, nobody really even plays like Mikey Musumeci in the legs. Like, he has a very unorthodox like leg entries, the way that he traps, the way that he looks for the locks, the the variety of leg locks that he has available to him, you're fighting this massive like uphill battle from just a transition perspective. I think like Juni or like I'm trying to think of other bantamweight world-class leg lockers. And like Ocasio is the only guy that I can think of that would be an interesting match for Mikey because he at least has a skill set that he's not going to get caught off guard and be stuck playing a strictly defensive game versus Mikey.
No, he's going to know how to counter and start the attack.
Yeah. I still think it's a match that I would pick Mikey in, but at least it's like interesting in that same way. Whereas Rerisson, the entirety of this match was on the defensive, and then Mikey shut off his passing, and then gets on top, and then works back to the legs. Eventually, Rerisson is just unable. I love the pit here. The pit was great because you had Rerisson roll through the heel hook, and then he hits the wall, and then instead of normally in tournaments when you go out of bounds, the wall stops the roll. And Mikey finishes the heel hook, and it is exactly what I wanted from a wall here. Do you have any other thoughts on the matchup or on the match?
No, I truthfully would like people to not try the same thing for 3 rounds if it's not working. But
I think it was working.
It was, but like I think round 3 after he passed, just take his back and choke him out.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you could do that. I'm pretty sure.
It was very clear.
That's me. Like I'm the type that I think you should try something for a certain period of time. If it's not working or if you're not getting the result that you want, you need to change your plan and you need to start attacking something different. But that's my own personal opinion on things because if not, it's kind of like just beating a dead horse. Like you just keep on. At some point, maybe they break and you get it, but like. It makes for really boring jiu-jitsu, in my opinion.
On the counter to that, if I'm in Mikey's corner, like, hey man, you are stomping these rounds.
Yeah.
There is no chance you are not winning these rounds very clearly. Don't change anything.
Yeah.
You know, you've won 2 rounds clearly. There is nothing about that second round that indicates it's going to go anything like it went the first round. In the third round, keep doing. Why would you change it? But I can understand your point too. Is like, hey man, I'm getting kind of like as a spectator. Like, you're obviously better. You can obviously pass. You can obviously take his back. I would want to see you do something if he's defending the legs.
Yeah, it wasn't the best match for casuals to watch jiu-jitsu.
I can understand that. Like, I was enthralled with it, but we're not. We're very much probably not the casual market that this is looking to appeal to. It was not.
I don't think it appealed to. And that's probably just me, too, because I don't know. I'm not a big fan of, like, footsie matches. They bore me.
I'm usually not, but Mikey's one of the few guys that I can watch a footsie match.
I think he annoys me because he just keeps on going for it. And people that do that to me, I literally, like, inside of me.
So you're getting annoyed in the room watching Mikey.
I get annoyed by it because, like, people who do that to me, I get so freaky. Like, if all you do in a round is go after my
I can
feet,
understand that.
I will literally start going hard as fuck at you with my kneecaps.
That makes sense.
Like, it's just annoying, but that's personally me.
So I don't know of anyone at 135 that's going to be even close to Mikey. But again, I'm down to see it. I'm happy he's the champion. I hope that UFC continues to book him with a great deal of frequency. And I hope that one thing I did love, we learned here, we're going to have 4 more cards.
Yep.
They've announced 4 more of them. But I do like that hey man, we ran one of them and now we're having a commitment to continuing to run these. It's not going to be a one-off event. And then Mikey sits for 8 months and we're not sure when we're going to see the next one. We're not sure what's going on. It's like, yep, here is one. And here are the 4 dates for the next ones.
And he's looking for them right now.
I am stalling for time to look for them. I have our CGI tickets here, which is nice.
Yes, we have CGI tickets, which is great.
I'm super excited for that. We'll talk about that in the outro of the episode. But I swear, it might be in the chat.
Here we go.
It's in the chat. I took a picture of it.
I thought I got it. Maybe not.
I took a big picture of it at while it flashed on the screen. It's probably actually in the
Here
team.
we go.
In the team chat.
BJJ2 is July 31st. BJJ3 is October 2nd. BJJ4 is December 11th. I'm wondering if they're going to have corresponding what's it called shows?
Like another series of the Ultimate Grappler again?
Yeah. And
I don't know. I don't think there's a one-off or not.
Give me other weights. I want to see other weighted people.
So that was the main event, 135, the 2 coaches. Let's talk about anything else on that?
No.
Let's talk about Andrew Tackett versus Andy Varela. Gets a rear naked choke, a opposite of a rotolotine, a tackatine. What do you call it? Tackatine or whatever it is?
Call it a tackatine.
Hey, man.
Or something like that.
You're world champion now. Maybe if you want. Maybe name it if you want.
Yeah.
But this, I'm actually really happy. I don't know how much on the show. On the pre-show, we talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of it made it into the actual show of last week, but we were talking about on the pre-show a lot that you, I think, in the show talked about, like, Andrew Tackett has older brothers.
Yeah.
He is not going to be cowed and kind of like Andy Varela's game works the best.
And Andrew Tackett's won against Andrew Varela. Or Andy Varela. So.
But it works best when Varela can bully you.
Yeah.
If you don't let Varela bully you, and that's a very hard ask, by the way.
Yeah.
Most people, physically are unable to not let him bully you.
Either unable to do that or it becomes a brawl.
Yeah. They just, you can't match Varela's intensity. And you can't. The great thing about Varela's game is that Varela can match that intensity, can have that intensity for the entirety of a match and also stay fairly technical and diligent, whereas most guys...
he doesn't get sloppy.
He doesn't get put off. No, most guys that get drawn into that kind of Andy Varela match will get sloppy, will get upset, will start overextending, and eventually Varela will kill you for it. We both thought, I was like, if Andrew Tackett doesn't seem like a guy that is going to be troubled by the intensity that Andy Varela... But Andy Varela can collar tie or club him, and he's just going to go, okay, and, not going to be bothered by...
if he messes up his hair, he might get mad,
maybe.
But that's about it.
I was very happy because that is exactly, I think, again, Tackett's a phenomenal, from a technical perspective, Tackett's phenomenal. But I think the biggest thing here was Tackett just came out as aggressive as Andy Varela was, but immediately put Varela on the back foot in a way that we don't see many people can ever do to Varela. Most guys don't have the physical tools, and I think Tackett was bigger than Varela, which was crazy too, because Varela's an enormous guy at 170. Again, I can't stop thinking about us seeing him at 77 kilos at West Coast Trials in 2021, where he was the biggest guy in that division. He was enormous for that. He might, again, be a little smaller, or Tackett might be a little bigger, but Tackett looked bigger than Varela here. And then Tackett put a pace on Andy Varela relatively quickly and got Varela playing defensively quickly. And Varela is, again, really, really great grappler, but is not the best defensive grappler because most people can really never put Andy there.
Yeah.
You can't overwhelm him in the areas that he wants to fight you. And that's what Tackett was able to do. Hey, man, I'm going to put super heavy pressure on you. I'm going to stay diligent in front of you. And then when it goes to the ground, I am just going to be on your back and enjoying this amazing choke. I don't have a lot more to say other than that.
Yeah.
He gets him down.
And it is a choke that when you have your arm in and they're choking through your arm, you don't immediately think you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about the finish.
Yeah.
He finishes an arm in rear naked choke.
Yeah.
Head and arm from the side, rotolotine, tackatine. It's on the other side of...
I think this is the one Jimenez does, but he does it he starts in that.
Guard.
No.
And he loops through.
No, he... what is S-mount?
Oh, that one.
He locks it in S-mount, and then he takes your back. So, he neck cranks the shit out of you as he's going around to your back.
We're seeing more and more people start to use this overhand looping choke, like the head and arm guillotines and the sit-through chokes. We are seeing kind of a renaissance of really, really tight arm-in chokes being hit from everywhere now. And we're seeing, I think Varela has one of these from the back as well, of different, whereas Varela has a crazy squeeze on it. The ease in which Andrew Tackett was able to put Andy Varela away just speaks to how good the positioning was.
Yeah.
Because you see that Varela is tight, he's up, the shoulder's up, it's blocked, and you can see that Varela is one of the toughest dudes in the sport.
Yeah.
If you can put Andy Varela out or get him to tap that quickly, Tackett must have a wild squeeze. There is one match I want to see Andrew Tackett. Actually, there's two matches. I'll watch him and Cade Rotolo to the end of the earth. Mika Gaval.
Yeah.
We missed it at the at the Flow Grappling during that tournament because Tackett got injured in his match with PJ Barch.
Yeah.
That is the only match that anyone needs to make. We need to see a prime Andrew Tackett versus like a prime championship shape Mika Galvao. That is the match we didn't see. It is the two guys at this division that technique for technique I think would be most interesting.
Yeah.
They can both keep a pace. They are both wild, offensive, and dangerous scramblers.
Yeah.
And they both can crack when it comes to the wrestling. They both throw stuff at you in the wrestling in a way that I don't know exactly how it will go. Mika Galvao is very much a known quantity.
Yeah.
I think Mika Galvao is phenomenal. He's really good. He is making improvements. The rate at which that Andrew Tackett is improving continues to surprise me. Again, now Andrew Tackett's not quite fighting the level of competition that Mika Galvao fights at the same frequency.
Yeah.
But every time we see Andrew Tackett, it looks like cleaner and cleaner and cleaner victories that are easier and easier and easier. And it seems repeatable in a way that is shocking.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to see who the UFC matches up with Andrew Tackett because they're...
Well, what's it called? What's it? Canuto.
Oh, yes, they are going to match him with Canuto.
Remember,
Yes.
he ran into the pit when he wasn't supposed to.
I forgot about that. They're going to do that next.
Well,
That'll be fun.
I don't know if they are or not.
That'd be a good match
He
to
like
make,
ran
man.
into the pit and told him he wanted to fight him.
I
so
think it's a great matchup
whatever.
because we saw, again, think about we've had a rubber match with Barch,
Yeah.
where Canuto's now 2 up on Barch in their matchups. Andrew has a win over Barch.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like, hey, man, the guy that beat the guy, like, that is a realistic matchup. I think that's a rough matchup for Canuto, but Canuto is another guy that with a great deal of frequency will punch up to guys that I'm not sure if he can beat.
Yeah.
Again, and so that's a great matchup to make. Still not as exciting for me as the Mika Galvao matchup, but
Getting a contract on Mika Galvao might be a problem.
it
You
seems
know
like
what I mean?
that. He
It
doesn't
seems
seem
like-
to be under contract.
Yeah, it seems like UFC is doing some sort of
Yeah.
contract.
But hey, man, if guys are getting paid, I don't love that we see them compete less, but I would, unfortunately, I would rather see guys fight less but be compensated for it than like what we saw Keith do. He fights every weekend almost, and then like it's awesome and he wins money, win these tournaments.
Yeah.
But I would much rather see Keith fight 4 times a year and get big paydays and come out in the best shape that he can for those camps versus watch him fight, on a Friday, on a Saturday, or on a Sunday, or on a Friday and a Sunday. Like, I just think we're going to get a higher quality of athlete long term with those sort of like schedules in play. And like if athletes are getting paid, that's always been the driver of this show. So I don't love exclusive contracts, but I do like the UFC is obviously paying these guys to get them under contract.
Yeah.
And I hope they're getting paid well because they should be. Let's move on to the lightweight match, unless you got anything else on 170.
I don't think so.
Let's move on to the lightweight match, 155. We have Carlos Henrique defeating Dylan Moreno via armbar in round 3. What the hell was this arm? This is a pretty standard 55 match.
Yeah.
Up until this finish. I wish I had a screenshot of
Carlos
this.
Henrique has some crazy arm bars. Like he does some wild ones. Like he does the whole you're playing guard and he just like jumps on top of your arm in like a bizarre way, and then
In like a fallback, but like on
Yeah.
top of you.
Yeah.
This was a leg in armbar from a position that
Was it 50-50?
it wasn't.
No, it wasn't 50-50. I know. Okay, let's go back.
Okay.
This is almost the same exact one when somebody spladles you.
That happens
If
a
you
lot.
reach between your legs and the arm bar, the
Yes.
arm that you're reaching with,
Yes.
that's the arm bar he hit.
Was it?
Dude's legs were like not completely spladled out, but
Yep.
he was going after the legs, and his arm was between his legs.
Yes,
and
he'd done the reach
pulled
through.
He pulled the arm that was between.
Uh-huh.
So it's the same.
But he also had the leg locked over to trap the arm and leg from getting out too.
Yeah.
This is I am not going to be able to do this justice. We have never covered an armbar like this on the show since 2017. I'll say that. It's on YouTube. Go watch it on YouTube. Go watch this finish. Carlos Henrique hits an armbar that I have never seen before
Yeah.
in a way that I've never seen someone do it. And mechanically, it makes sense. You trap their arm, you drop the legs. Like, it's an armbar, but it is in a way that I have never seen someone hit an armbar. Somebody can probably pull and probably would DM me, footage of someone else hitting it. But I have never seen someone in a high-level tournament hit an armbar like this. super impressive from Carlos Henrique. Yeah, man, I don't honestly have a whole lot to say other than this is just such a wild, like, counter armbar sequence to hit off of a footlock entry from Delano.
Here it is.
Yeah,
It's definitely a weird because he's like, oh man, there we go.
Yeah, he has his leg trapped across.
Yeah, it was almost like he was going almost for a triangle.
That's what it looked like. It looks like a triangle,
yeah.
but then their head gets out,
yeah.
and then you are left with the armbar, but you don't have the low side leg.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird, like, armbar. And mechanically, it was, you look at it and you go, I don't actually know how Moreno would have defended this. Like, I don't know how he would have gotten out of this other than...
Even my name. You said Miranda.
I said Moreno. I said Moreno.
I thought you said Miranda.
No, Moreno.
I was like, I don't know how
Moreno would have gotten out of this.
Defended it either.
It's just a really weird sub. And again, I like that in big tournament title matchups for inaugural cards, we have finishes like this.
Yeah.
It was neat. Anything else?
Well, now we know he's like a master of the armbar because like he broke
Doderlin's elbow, or he dislocated his elbow.
He dislocated his elbow, and then he gets this one. So
yeah, watch your arms with Carlos Henrique.
Once you realize like shoulder, arm, make the arm go a direction doesn't belong, you can kind of
essence of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you can kind of be crazy with it.
Make arm go sideways, win tournament match.
Well, he's from Dream Art, so I mean,
that makes
he
sense
was at Dream Art before he came stateside, so makes sense.
Next match, we'll talk about a couple of undercard matches as well. Keith Krikorian defeats Joao Asanas via rear naked choke. Keith put a hell of a squeeze on Joao. The camera super glitch. You can see Keith just like squeezing down. It was like, oh, Keith wants this. And Keith's like, I knew when it was in, I had it. And it was, you could see that. Again, a great win for Keith. Potentially is on that short list to face Carlos Henrique again for the lightweight title, which again it's a match I would see. They were on the same side of the bracket, weren't they?
Yeah.
But I think, did they go against each other first round? Was it Carlos Henrique versus Keith?
It was Doderline took out.
Doderline beat Keith because he was 1 and 8
They were
seeds.
in the same bracket but different.
But
sides.
Doderline walked and then Keith and then Carlos Henrique took out Doderline. Yeah. That's the one I want to see. I want to see Keith take on Carlos Henrique for the title here after this match. He looked very, very good versus Joao. And yeah, anything else?
Nope.
We also had Cassiamora defeating Talita Alencar via a unanimous decision. Man, we haven't talked about Alencar in a little bit because she's primarily over now in MMA. We see her pop up occasionally on a card, maybe a couple times a year. This looked like Cassiamora like throwing the kitchen sink at Talita Alencar, and Talita Alencar being a veteran, not being too concerned about it, being in some deep water here and there with a choke and with an arm, and then kind of going, I'm a veteran here. I've been here a long time. I've been a black belt a long 10 years almost, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just going to continue to have good present defense. Not let you put me away, but this was very much Cassiamora being in the driver's seat for most of it and just really being unable to like put a huge stamp on Talita Alencar as far as like veteran savvy. But it was well matched. Cassiamora takes it pretty cleanly.
Yeah.
But again, we just don't see Talita as much as I would like to. Talita didn't look as tired as we have historically seen her look in late rounds. That's sort of always been the problem we've had with Talita Alencar, is that she tends to get tired late into matches. She kind of fixed that a couple of years ago when she transitioned over to MMA. She got a little tired in her first fights and then has now like mitigated that. And we've commented that she has looked better cardio-wise late. She looked okay here late, but Cassiamora is also like 20.
Yeah, she also spent all 3 rounds defending.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep, that was it. We also had Pedro Machado defeating Felipe Pimentel via triangle choke. That was an exciting, fun finish from Pedro Machado. We also had Bella Mir, Frank Mir's daughter, Lady Mir, defeating Carol Joia via a second round Darce choke. She had some really cool comments here. It was cool to see her dad, Frank Mir, coaching. Bella's, I think, is it Iowa or somewhere else? She's a Hawkeye, I think.
I was gonna look. I don't think
Bella Mir is now in college wrestling and is, I think, one of the one of the top female wrestlers in the country right now.
She was a number 3 in her division.
Maybe not, it's not the top, but like still, All-American status for Bellemere. Hasn't fought in a little bit here, but yeah, watch Bellemere come back to jiu-jitsu or come back to grappling in MMA as she's 20 or something.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be a ride. But this is again, we saw Bellemere on Fury a couple like 6 months ago or something like that. To see her here again looks really good. Gets a tight finish. And was very impressive. We have Kevin Carrasco defeating Ty Costello via a triangle as well in the first round. Honestly, overall, my thoughts on the UFC BJJ card, I was pretty happy with it. It went pretty quickly. The UFC understands production. They understand pacing.
North Carolina, University of North Carolina.
Is it Hawkeyes? Oh, University of North Carolina.
It looks. Like,
I'm not IO
it
then.
Looks like North Carolina. No, North Central College.
Okay, I don't know where that is. But
she could have switched. She switched.
I think she did switch schools, but I don't know.
She was in Final X because she got 3rd place at Final X.
Okay.
She is competing for the North Central Cardinals.
Cardinals, not Hawkeyes. Okay, I knew it was a bird of some sort.
She transferred from Iowa to North Central.
That's what I'm missing.
And it could be something. I mean, it could be a variety of things because, I mean, women's wrestling is a lot different than like the men's divisions. So, maybe she went to a program that fits her better and suits her better. I don't know.
Again, this is Maine talks incompetently about collegiate wrestling.
The thing is, maybe in Iowa you might, if you're X weight, there might be like 5 of you. And if you're not, then if you're not the top
it might
one,
not be,
you're not going to wrestle. Like
that makes sense.
You're not making the team. So.
They're a better division. The better schools for you to be at to get the experience that you are looking for wrestling at a collegiate level. So, I don't know. Overall, I was really happy with this. I'm very happy that UFC is going to start running more BJJ events. I hope we still get the Fight Pass Invitational and these UFC BJJ events. This, honestly, I liked because it felt like the Fight Pass Invitational cards felt like grappling events. This felt like a fight night card. Okay. I don't know what the difference really was for me, but like this UFC BJJ 1 felt like a UFC fight night card in a way that the Fight Pass Invitationals feel like a standard, like Who's Number One or Polaris. Like it had a different feel, and I can't
maybe because of points or something like that.
I don't. It was produced like I'm used to fights being produced, not like I'm used to grappling events being produced. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I still like the traditional kind of production of BJJ events, but for some reason, them kind of retitling this UFC BJJ 1, changing something about how they produced it, just made it feel like they are making a big commitment to run more of these and really move hard. They put like $12 million into BJJ. Yeah. Really, it makes it seem like that they are really making a demonstrable push into it. They even Fight Pass now have a jiu-jitsu button. Yeah. Where it's like, hey man, you want to just watch grappling? There's a button for it now in Fight Pass, which I like because it's like usually 95, 90, probably 99% of the times I'm opening up Fight Pass, it's to watch grappling. That's why I keep the service around. Like, I didn't watch the prelims for Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. I went and watched Polaris. Yeah. I went and watched UFC BJJ. Like, that's why I'm on Fight Pass. Yeah. That's why I pay for that service, to watch really well-produced jiu-jitsu events. And if I'm getting more of those a year, if there are 10 events a year or 15 events a year, for me, it's worth $170 because they are top quality produced events, and they usually have some like information around them. There's high level grappler names. Like the Fight Pass is really turning into a good thing for grappling. So, anything else, Miranda? No. All right, let's move on to Polaris 32. Let's kick it off with the super fight on the main card, which is Ono Flanagan versus Mohamed Antavarov. I just almost got his name.
Avtarhanov.
Ono Flanagan hits a Z-lock in this match, which was... I wish we had another camera angle on the other side of this.
Yeah, because I think even commentary was paying attention to the right leg because his toes were in his side and he was kind of bending that foot, and that's the leg they were paying attention to. But unfortunately, he was actually attacking the far side hip that we couldn't see.
Because it looked like what I thought it was like a power knee bar, or like a overhook leg knee bar. There's not really a name for what he did. Where basically you boot your leg down and you can hyperextend the knee on the far side from the video that we were seeing. And then if you look at it again, you're like, oh, he's opening the hip here when he's doing that. So basically he drives down his foot and it straightens the leg and opens the hip, and it ends up being a Z-lock, like a hip lock.
I have a Z-lock instructional that I need to watch one of these days.
Yeah, it was. But the wildest thing about this was, so Owen Flanagan was probably taking this decision.
Yeah.
He hits this with 9 seconds left.
Yep, a first round.
And then the funny thing about this was in his interview after, was
besides the fact that Mo jumped full guard on him.
Yeah,
that's a big man to be jumping.
That was a big
okay.
He said he wants washed up UFC fighters, which I think is like a great. It's also, I think Craig Jones in an interview has said that before as well.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I want UFC fighters because they are.
No,
he wanted UFC fighters because they are tested and he is not. That was Craig's rationale for it.
Now, he said he wanted washed up UFC fighters, and then he said he doesn't want to compete more than a few minutes or something like that. And then there's something about, I don't know. They asked him to explain what he was doing, and he said he just didn't do it.
Yeah, it was an Owen has a podcast. It's a fun podcast to listen to. This was a weird kind of post-fight interview for him. Not really sure. I don't want to read too much into it, but the sub was really cool. The sub was it was a very unique sub, and it was just very funny. I got fixated on the leg that he was on, like the leg he had overhooked, and completely missed that. He was like, "No, he's not going to attack that leg," and then he hits this Z-lock from the cross-side camera angle, which was annoying, but. Yeah, Owen Flanagan takes the win there. Now let's move on to an event. So let's talk about the squads event, the ladies squads event. Team North America versus Team Europe. These are always really hard to cover because A, there are a lot of matches. And B, I get confused because it's a lot of the same people. Yeah. And the other problem is I like it when I'm watching the broadcast. Everyone's wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
I realize that I am not really a face guy when I'm watching grappling. I look at your rash guard. So Owen Jones was on the prelims for this. I watched it. I am used to Owen Jones's 80cc rash guard, which is the 52 Ray Lewis purple rash guard. He had a different rash guard on. I was like, oh, that's going to throw me off because I know people buy their fight kits. Yeah. And I know Kravar because she has the ponytail. She has a look. For these events, we had all of the teams in the same outfits. Yeah. And it made it hard, and I got confused. We had a pre-show here. I got confused repeatedly for, what matches were who, and we have some notes. So, again, if apologies if we mess anything up. The squads events are really fun to watch live. I struggle with them specifically to recap because I just get confused. Was that this match or this match? Because you also have, Margaret Ciccarelli here has
7 matches.
7 matches total. A lot happens back to back to back to back to back. And it's also, there's not a break this is round 1, this is round 5. Nope, this is just her next match. Yeah. So there's not a natural break point for me to make a mental note of oh, that was her semifinals match. Yeah. That was her quarterfinals match. No, that's just her next match. Also, the teams don't have an order to them. Yeah. So it's just sort of random for who they elect to put out to try to beat the person that's in front of them. Overall, I like the format. It's super fun to watch live. For a lot of these wins, you always do have to look at a squads event with some context. For instance, the final match of the second final match of the tournament is Helena Kravar versus Margaret Ciccarelli. Kravar beats her, and that makes sense. Yeah. But you also got to remember that Ciccarelli is 5 matches in at that point and has only had a 30-second break.
7 matches in, technically.
So 7 matches in, but has had 5 matches back to back to back to back to back. They have all gone to decision. So you have had essentially 20, almost 25 minutes straight with 30-second breaks at a professional level with some of the best women in the world.
And Helena jumps in, who's at least 5 kilograms larger.
Yeah.
And
at least 5. Yeah, she's weighed in.
And brand new.
And has not had a match yet in the tournament. So it's just, you do kind of when we're talking about this, that's something that when you look back on a record 10 years from now, you always forget. The same night tournaments, you're like, oh yeah, he fought this guy like an hour before.
Yeah.
Like, you got to remember the context of a lot of those for, like, who takes a win over who.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this now so that in 3 years, when we talk about some of these women meeting up again on the squads events, you go, oh, now that was a squads event. The matchup that you're getting is in the context of the quintet style or the squad style formatting. It might not be as indicative of how you would do in a fresh match. Like, the Cicerelli versus Cravar match will absolutely look different if Cicerelli had not had 25 minutes of matches prior. Now, does she win or does she lose? I can't really speak to that, but absolutely it looks different when she has not had 25 minutes of matches. So overall, the event's a lot of fun. Go back and watch the whole event. We're going to run through it kind of matchup by matchup with just a couple little kind of stop-off points for things that we found interesting in each match.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many matches to cover. It's a 60-minute event, and they break it up into 5-minute matches. And then
it's 2 45-minute periods.
Is it 45? Oh, yeah. Sorry, not 60. Yeah.
It's a
90-minute event.
Yeah.
My bad. I like the format. I like that Polaris has done. I like that they've also added. I like and dislike that they've added decisions, because historically in the squads format or in like the quintet format, if there is no submission, both athletes are eliminated. Next people come out. The problem is, like, this event only has 2 submissions on it.
Yeah.
If you don't go to judge's decision here, then essentially the only matches that really matter from a scoring perspective are the matches with submission. There's 2 matches that matter.
I think there's 3, but
I thought there was only 2.
There's a Kimura, there's an arm triangle.
And there's arm and guillotine.
There's just 2.
There's 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do like that Polaris has added the decisions here, because it, again, when we're doing the recap, it gives these matches some weight, and it also makes it so athletes can't just stall. Like, you actually do have to do enough in the match to not just stall out and
normally
lose.
you have people stalling out just to get rid of people.
And in quintet, it's a very valid strategy, because, like, hey, man, we have Gordon Ryan. You're probably not going to sub Gordon Ryan, but what you can do is maybe not get subbed by him for 6 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever the time period is for your event, or 8 minutes. You know, maybe that's your way to get him out of that tournament, is by stalling him out. You're not going to sub him, but you can stall him out. In the Polaris format, I like that you can win a judge's decision. So, hey, if you're doing enough and there is no sub, the match still matters and still has weight to it. And I do actually like that better. Although there should be some weirdness with decisions, I kind of think, like, hey, man, if you lose a decision, you just needed to do more. I like that perspective. So, did any team use their timeout?
Yes.
Okay, I missed it.
Both teams used them all the time.
I missed it?
I think they both used all of them. Maybe there's a team that had one left at the end of the
I might have tabbed through the breaks, which is what I was doing.
But, like, they used one for Cicerelli right before she went against...
okay, I remember this
one
now.
against... they used one for Cicerelli. They might have used 2 for Cicerelli.
Okay.
But there was a couple times they broke for... I was going to write them down, and then I was like, we don't need to write these down.
And then Maine brings it up now.
I should have brought them up.
So the format, not to cut you off here. The format for squads is basically you win by decision, you get a point. You win by submission, you get 2 points. If you are the smaller person going against the bigger person, so this event was broken up into under 65 kilos and under 70 kilos, which I thought was very funny, because those are
super
pretty close. Yeah. But I do appreciate that it didn't make everyone be 65 kilos or everyone be 70, or you didn't have, like, hey, 66 and 88. You're like, okay, that's an insurmountable difference. Like, it did make it feel more even, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And so you get 3 points if you took out someone that was the weight class above you, essentially.
And sub them.
But we didn't see any of that, and that's because that's not going to be unusual, but that's why you get more points for it. First round, we had Taylor Hillshaw versus Selma Vick. I was impressed with Hillshaw's wrestling.
Yeah.
She is an angry competitor is the right way to put it, but she looks like she is about business when she competes. And the pacing that she put on Selma Vick here, I was impressed with. And then, again, we're starting to see more and more of Taylor Hillshaw versus better and better and better level competition. And she continues to sort of rise to that level of competition. Yeah. Very, very curious how she continues to develop. If she decides, now she's like 18, to go into MMA like more full time, because she fought in like youth programs in MMA. Yeah. Good, it seems to be a very good MMA fighter. I'm very curious if she's going to kind of stay in the grappling route or if she's going to go into MMA. But the takedowns looked like they were on point here. She basically wins this for takedowns and an ankle lock attempt in the match. And then we go to decision. So Team North America is up 1 point. Taylor is in again and goes and beats Suleme Lowenthal with just more sort of really good pressure.
Yeah.
And
she's kind of pressure passes, winds up getting to mount and a triangle, but at that point it's late in the round.
Yeah.
Kind of
I think that's
triangle
what
me
wins
in
her.
a head and arm triangle.
I think that's what
triangle.
No, it was triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, from the mount, from top.
Yeah, but it's a head and arm triangle.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
This was, I think, one of the problems with decisions is it was very close. This is Suleme Lowenthal from the guard early. For like 2 different times, she gets what guys call 100%, which is an overhook arm. It's kind of like a violent arm lock, but you have the head trap like you're going to guillotine, but instead of looping under the neck, you loop under the arm and lock your hands together, and it basically puts a ton of downward pressure on the head and lifts up on the shoulder, and 100% of the time, you get the sweep with it.
Yeah.
Suleme got this position twice and did not sweep with it twice. I didn't understand why.
I was wondering if she was trying for something like a Choi bar or something else where you would lock a shoulder like that, and it was just that that's what she was going for, and she just didn't.
I don't know. It was really interesting. It looks like she was looking, for me at least, I thought she was looking for like that, like the shoulder crunch, like you wing the scapula and you tear the shoulder is what I thought she was looking for. But Taylor, even commentary picked it up, very flexible. It was just really weird to not see Suleme be willing to open her guard for length there and like do a scissor sweep and get to the top like traditionally you would do with this 100% crank. And then Taylor's able to get out of it eventually after 2 times and gets them out and gets enough offense off to take the round. I think could have given this either way, but I think Taylor finishing this very close to a sub, I think it was a very reasonable decision, but it was like, I think the only one where I kind of went, that could have gone. Actually, there's one more. I was like, it could have gone either way. Next one we have Margaret Cicerelli is in, and she defeats Taylor Hirshaw via decision. This was fun because, again, Hirshaw's been in twice. She's had 2 decisions, 10 minutes in. Cicerelli, who is one of the most accomplished women in this entire tournament, comes in. This looked like, and she knew, like, hey, I don't want to stand with Hirshaw. Hirshaw's bigger and is going to have great wrestling. Cicerelli played guard.
Yeah.
And I went, I do not think Taylor Hirshaw is going to be able to, if she's able to pass, not be able to stabilize anything for long enough to make it worth anything. And that was kind of the case. It was like Cicerelli knew the skill set that Taylor brought and went, yeah, man, you're going to throw a lot of heavy offense at me.
You also have to think about Margot used to be in the she used to be in the room in New York with Unity.
Yeah.
So, and she's an AOJ.
Now she's the AOJ.
An AOJ and a variety
She is
of
used to
rooms.
tough, hard rooms with a lot of people gunning for her. It seemed like a matchup that was, Hirshaw doesn't quite have the experience that she would need in order to...
And Mario's a veteran.
Yeah, in order to like take it away from a veteran. You're probably not going to flash sub, Cicerelli.
Yeah.
Again, Hirshaw's young. And Cravar's young, and Cravar gets it done later, but it just seemed like a little bit of too much too soon with the skill set that she brought to the table there, and also being 10 minutes in with a fresh Margaret Cicerelli. It made sense. Cicerelli takes that by just kind of doing more, being active, staving off the passing from Taylor, and just attacking from guard more.
Yeah. Gets
a decision here. Next, we have Alex Enriquez defeating Margaret Cicerelli via decision. I was really excited about this one.
Yeah.
This is a matchup that I don't think we've seen before.
If not a black belt.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen it before. This was kind of on the other side of it. Alex Enriquez having just a little more experience and knowing that, cool, I've got to really hold on to Cicerelli's head.
Yeah.
Avoid the Choi bars, avoid like the armbar game that she wants to set
and
up.
The bolos and all that kind of stuff.
And just stay more active on her head and closer to her.
Yeah.
Whereas Taylor likes to pass from range and kind of bully and like throw by.
Yeah.
Alex played much closer down to Ciccarelli's guard and sort of like was more active at the range that Ciccarelli might be able to bolo or sweep from, but Enriquez is also a veteran.
And Enriquez was also smart enough that when Ciccarelli went to do like the stomp bolo, when you like hook the leg and stomp bolo, to keep her legs up and into a position where she couldn't get to her back from there.
Yeah.
And she would keep enough control of Mario's legs that even if she went to bolo her, she couldn't like get enough torque to actually do it. And she also didn't try to re-bolo. Because I think if she would have tried to re-bolo her...
And she would have got re-boloed, and Ciccarelli would have taken her back.
It would have just kept on being this,
back and forth bolo battle that she probably wouldn't have won with Ciccarelli. Yeah. So she was smart enough to not engage in that, which was really good, and is able to take that over Ciccarelli, which was, again, I thought was very impressive. Because, again, I don't think Alex Enriquez was a 70. I think she was 65 as well. So... Again, you don't have the size advantage. I think Ciccarelli was one of the smaller 65ers, though, in the tournament, that being said. So next, we move to Anna Svensson versus defeating Alex Enriquez via decision. Yeah. There's a difference in weight here. Svensson is under 70, Alex is under 65. You could tell that there was a difference in weight here. You have a nice note here that they went against each other at the colored belts.
Yeah, that's what
on commentary, I think.
Allegedly they've went against each other a bunch of times. But Anne is a former horse show jumper.
Yeah, we saw that on her. She's also dating or married to Charles Negromonte.
Yeah.
We found that out today as well. This is positional control, really. Yeah. She slows Enriquez down, and then...
she gets to her back.
And that was really you have enough offense there, you take the decision, Anna Svensson moves on, and then here, Svensson goes on a run. She defeats Alana Santiago via decision. Again, more positional control and submission attempts. Yeah. That's really the name of the game. One thing I liked about Polaris is that they kept giving you context for what they were scoring. And they talked about the old Polaris format was looking for submissions and submission offense, and that's what they're looking for. The newer Polaris format, they're switching more to initiation.
Yeah.
Fight Pass is doing this. UFC is doing this. ADCC kind of does this as well. I like that we have figured out, hey man, submissions are great, but I care that you are the person doing the thing more than if you're getting the submission.
Yeah.
And I really like that. We've seen a big change in grappling from a lot of the long, slow, stally matches. If you make initiation and activity the criteria you are looking for, you get more exciting matches. Why? It's because the positional dominance isn't as important. Yeah. Because I need you to be doing something with it, and that's really what we want to see in professional grappling matches. But I appreciate that on Polaris, they've continued to kind of change the rules, and the commentary is knowledgeable enough to kind of inform you and tell you that. And so we're seeing that. We're seeing Anna Svensson in the driver's seat, working, doing positions, but also having sub-attempts. But she is the initiator in the match versus Alana Santiago. And in the match we has next with Elizabeth Mitrovic. We see her passing, and then we see her going into footlock attempts versus Liz Mitrovic. And she's able to anything special in that match, or she's able to take that one via decision as well. Then we move on to Brenda St. Marie, who's able to defeat Anna Svensson. Again, you're looking at Svensson now has 1, 2, 3 matches in. Brianna St. Marie, I gotta stop doing that. St. Marie is one of the best women in the world. Yeah. ADCC silver medalist. It looked phenomenal. And then it's Brianna St. Marie consistently attacking. She does a couple of arm locks here that I really like. There was a consistent Kimura from the top side that she was sort of working, that she was sort of using as not from a row drag, but it was almost in the same way she was blocking Anna Svensson's hand down like you would off of a row drag into a pass.
She was getting row drags.
Yeah. She was hitting them, which is they post on you from the half guard, you knock it up and then pass it into essentially a Kimura position to use it to pass and pull from. Dante Leon does it a ton. Jason Rao does it a ton, which is why it's called a row drag. And that was it just, I think 2 or 3 times, it was a very consistent setup that Brianna had that she kept using, kept hitting, kept making work, kept making work. Yeah, she kept making it work. Takes a clean decision there with those submission attempts and the positional work. Then we move on to Brianna St. Marie defeating Nia Blackman basically going back to her bread and butter and attacking from full guard. Blackman is bigger, she's physical, and Svensson was willing to play guard.
Yeah.
Brown went, nope, you are a top control grappler. I'm not going to be able to force you into guard. I'm not going to get in that.
She's also a larger grappler.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that pissing match with you. I'm just going to pull into the area that I'm very, very good at and then enjoy me consistently doing enough from the guard that Nia was never able to really get anything off in this matchup. There was just like, Nia just wasn't able to get anything out of this.
I also don't know how long that match was. Because it would have been at the end of the 45-minute period.
Yeah, but there were no submissions in the first half, so I think it was a 5-minute. I think it was a 5-minute match. Because I think
that's true. I didn't think about that.
So then that match ends. Brianna St. Marie finishes out the first half, and we are Team North America leading Team Europe 5-4.
Yep.
Which again, I would think I like that it was closer than I thought it was going to be given the team lineups, but we had really good work here from Anna Svensson. And good work from Taylor Hishaw early for both teams taking multiple people out. Brianna St. Marie, again, take multiple people out. We have the super fight, and then we come back into this. It feels like a sporting event. I like the halftime where it's like, cool, we give them halftime, and you pull them back out. You probably don't need to give them halftime because there is big break time between. But I do like the halftime because it feels like the teams will go back.
Yeah.
They can discuss strategy. They can talk about what they need to be doing. And you usually do see teams come out on squads events with kind of different strategies.
Yeah.
Like the first half of a squads event feels very different than the second half of a squads event. And I really like that about the events.
Figure out how people are moving and what people are doing. And you figure out all the little things like how Margot figured out that, just get to guard, hold them off with your guard, and throw up a footlock attempt.
Yep, and do enough, and you can take a lot of these matches. It was very funny. So I watched this after I coached my wife and her team at a quintet event this weekend. So it was very funny to coach a women's quintet event and then watch a women's squads event back to back and go, okay, and we'd done previews for this, so I had to know at the quintet event, okay, it's not squads, it's quintet. There's a different set of rules for how you pick teams, how you pick lineups, and just it was very funny on the same weekend to be doing both. As we break this down. So second half comes out. We have Alana Santiago comes out and defeats Joseph Mundeg, the ADCC European champ at 155, with a Kimura.
Yep. She had the Kimura for a long time, too. She had it from the back, which was...
Dude, it was the entirety of the match.
Yeah.
It was I just went... I don't know if she's gonna finish this. It looked so finished for so many times, and I went, Josephine has such flexibility.
She did the crazy defense that I do, but I normally lay on my arms when I do it. When I hook my hands behind my back so that you can't Kimura me, I do that.
I call it a prisoner grip. That's what I call it.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've never seen anyone else really use it anything long term.
10th Planet women. They're the only ones I ever really see.
Yeah, I've called it for probably 9 or 10 years now, a prisoner grip. Because you look at your hands behind your back. I don't know why. I just in my head.
It makes sense.
I've never had a chance to say it out loud. Actually, it's been in my head, and I'd occasionally once a year or once every other year around teaching a class, I'll say it's an option.
You're prisoner grip.
It's a prisoner grip. And eventually Alana Santiago basically makes the step over here.
She gets it from full guard.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a Kimura from full guard?
Not very often. No, I thought this was one where she eventually rolls it over and makes the step to finish.
Oh, yeah, she does get it from the top.
But she does get it essentially from the close, which is, it's not common, but man, it is there. And it's it is straight up that they in quotes that day one, it's good technique. We teach you early, and eventually, if you get good at it, it remains viable at the highest levels.
Well, Kimura traps suck.
They do. So, because again, you can't get my arm back in. It makes sense. So, Alana Santiago moves on. Then they pull Margaret Cicerelli back in. They're like, you figured out this. You figured out the squads event. We have Margaret Cicerelli defeating Alana Santiago via footlocks and passing. So Margaret was passing this one.
Yeah.
Which was again more. She was more aggressive. She was throwing it more and kind of had Alana's on the defensive, which is enough in a 5-minute match to win a decision.
Both basically have the same game, except I bet you these two trained together because Margot was probably at Unity when.
Well, we lost power there for a second, so. I thought I had everything on battery backup because we have like tornado warnings, giant storms coming. There was a car crash literally in front of my house right before we recorded.
2 car crashes and a small flood and all kinds of fun stuff going on.
So again, apologies if it gets weird. So you were saying that she was at Unity at the same time that Cicerelli was.
I think Alanis. Now Alanis was probably a purple belt. She might have been a blue or purple belt at the time.
How many women are in the room?
I don't.
You probably.
I mean,
actually, Unity maybe. Yeah, maybe you had a larger.
A big school.
Yeah.
And it depends on your schedule, I would think, but they would have been
in the same room at the same time.
Probably in the same room at the same time.
So Margot takes that one with passing footlock attempts.
Yeah.
Then we move again. Cicerelli comes back in. We have Margot Cicerelli versus Alex Enriquez, and this is a rematch from
earlier today. It's a rematch from earlier today, isn't it?
Did I miss that? Oh my God, I missed that.
Yeah, it's the second time that match happens.
Yep. Thank you, Miranda, for
That's okay.
See, this is why the squad's over for me is so hard because I get confused and I'm like, oh, I saw this and occasionally what I'll do is I'll watch and I'll tab back and I'll move forward.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get a chance to watch Polaris live because I was out coaching my wife at a quintet event, and it is just so funny to I just realized that they had met twice and we were doing notes here. I was like, I watched them both. I just missed that apparently.
Yeah. But
so you're saying, sorry.
Margot had a different tactic this time.
Which makes sense if you lose the first one.
Yeah.
You know you're going to go up against Enriquez again. You play it differently. That kind of speaks to just how good Cicerelli is. Because a lot of people, in an hour later, you can't go and have a different match against the guy. Like we've done round robins before. It's like a lot of times it's like, I can come and play this a little differently, but you're not going to play wildly differently. Margot kind of played this significantly differently than she had in their first matchup.
Yeah. So, and Margot gets the decision.
Mm-hmm. It was close, but it was Margot's to take this one. Then we have Cicerelli again versus Hishaw. Is this a rematch as well?
No, she didn't go against Hishaw first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So we have that one again. Margot Cicerelli basically took out their whole team.
Essentially, ran through. So again, it's
except for their team captain.
It's Cicerelli versus Hishaw again. Hishaw can't pass. Cicerelli takes the decision. Then we have Cicerelli versus Elizabeth Mitrovic. This one I think could have gone either way as far as judges' decisions go.
I think this is this is not. This is the one at the end. Margot sweeps her and gets on top of her.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
It's the other Mitrovic match that you're thinking of. This one, she sweeps her like in the last minute, and she gets on top of her, and that's, enough to win a match in my mind.
And it's like these short 5-minute format matches, which again is the right length for a pro match. 5-6 minutes. I do not need 15-minute matches. I need, because again, there is no point in these matches that is more than a minute when they're not doing much.
Yeah.
We have consistent action the entire time. This is how you get that, by having a short. Because again, Cicerelli has 5 matches in a row. At no point is she have her foot off the gas because she needs to be doing enough to win the matches. Shorter matches make for better action.
She was chugging like honey between matches.
What do you portray? Whatever you have to. You got to fight. You fight Elizabeth Mitrovic, Hishaw. You fought a bunch of women in a row that most people can't beat once.
Yeah.
Santiago, Enriquez, to Hishaw, to Mitrovic. Mitrovic, by the way, just placed at IBJJF Worlds in like women's heavyweight.
Yeah.
Think about that. And you beat all of them back to back. And again, did Enriquez win trials or second place in trials?
She won trials because remember she went
East Coast trials.
Her significant other.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, East Coast trials. Like you have a world medalist with a trials winner with Hishaw who just won a good tournament at CFFC, a women's 125 tournament. Like crazy day for you. And then you go on to Brianna St. Marie, who's ADCC silver medalist.
She's one of your training partners.
And then you beat her too.
Yeah.
Which is like the one that Cicerelli went on here was impressive.
This one was a very like a weirdly close match.
Yeah.
I think Margot kind of pops her to her butt one time. And I don't know how much it was her getting swept to her butt or how much it was
Brianna willing to play guard and kind of wanting to be there.
Wanting to be there and wanting to go into the legs, but it could be seen as her sweeping her to her butt because that was the only real action that happened. But yeah, Margot takes out the entire team minus the captain.
And then Cravar comes out and you're like, this is why Cravar is the captain. But again, we talked about this earlier in the episode. Cicerelli's 20 plus minutes in, 25 minutes in with not minute break. And she did have a timeout there.
Yeah.
But not minute breaks.
The what's it called? The timeout was like a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's a 90-second timeout.
And everything else was 30 seconds.
Awesome. So you have a combined weight. Dude, even in MMA, they give you a minute.
Yeah.
And those are 5-minute rounds. Different pacing, but it's still, again, it speaks to just how difficult of a run this is for Cicerelli at the level of competition that she's beating these women. Again, decisions, but moving in. And then Helena goes, I have to do for my team what no one has been able to do so far. And you can tell that the speed of Cicerelli is a little lower. Helena Crevaro is also bigger. She's 170. I do not think Cicerelli is 165.
It's not one.
Sorry, 70 kilos.
Yeah.
And so there's a size difference here. Helena plays this well.
You know, Margot's probably, because Margot normally is like a 130, like that 137 to 142 range, and that's 65 kilos.
65 kilos is 145.
And it's 142.
66 kilos is 145. So yeah, it would be 143.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, 142.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I used to cut to it, so
that makes sense.
I know the number.
Hey, man, I know what 165 is.
I know what that number is.
Oh yeah, because you did trials at 65, under 65.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Good times.
And I do them at 55 and 65. Well, 50. No, 55.
55.
Yeah. 120. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
So we have this is impressive. Crevaro is able to get on top of Cicerelli here and gets a really deep head and arm and just kind of like it just stays patient with it.
Yeah.
In a way that I was curious if Crevaro would have the maturity in her game to do.
Yeah, because Cicerelli was also trying to get under and kind of play the deep half sweep game from it.
And Helena just stayed diligent, knew she was good. And it was a level of like maturity of game that I expect at this point of Crevaro's career, but it also would not surprise me to suddenly see like a misstep or I let it go or doing like it was very nice to see Crevaro go, nope, I know I have this and I'm willing to wait and then continue to push it deeper and deeper and deeper and improve my positioning and not, and keep a good base on top of Margot Cicerelli, put my hands together, lock through the choke, and then eventually, I was actually really surprised she got the choke from the angle that she had because Cicerelli's hands looked like they were on top of Helena Crevaro's hands, and I looked at the finish a couple times and I was like, I don't know how she got her, but I would not expect Cicerelli to tap to anything but something that was extremely in and very, very deep. So, Helena probably has a hell of a squeeze in that position, gets it done. Crevaro moves on and again gets more points because she gets a sub, brings Team USA back into still down right now, but not out of it yet. With again very little time remaining, Helena Crevaro then goes on to defeat Anna Svensson. Just offense, good footlock attempt, but doesn't really look like she's going to put Svensson away here. What do you think here?
Well, towards the end when she got on her back, she tried to put Anna away.
Oh, I thought in the back, was that this match or Nia Blackman? Yeah, that was this match. I was very curious if there was like 15 more seconds, if she would have, because she gets a little ahead of herself in the choke. You could tell that she knew she was running down, and she kind of had to give a big squeeze to try to finish it, but she would overcommit and kind of, Svensson kind of got out of it. I am very curious if there was 20 or 30 more seconds and there's 15 more seconds, if she would have been able to kind of lock the choke in more effectively and get it, because it looked very, very tight with about 10 seconds left. Yeah. But so Crevaro clearly takes that. Anything else for that?
Nope.
Then we move on to Crevaro versus Nia Blackman, which is a rematch. Yeah. And again, Crevaro beat Nia before, but it was close, and we were kind of impressed with how close Nia had been able to take it, and that looked pretty evident in this match. Yeah. It looked like Nia went, I can take this match. Yeah. And it was a very, I think, earned level of confidence. And then Crevaro just is able to not stay on her bike is the right word, but is able to just put up enough offense. Yeah. She slows Nia down. She goes to the close guard. She controls her posture, and she knows.
And she does the in close guard. Body lock.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what you do with your legs.
the body lock.
I have short little legs, so
That's
I
what we
can't
talked
body
about
lock
last
people
time with Nia, though. When Nia, she let Nia get too close for too long and stand over her. And this time, she goes to the body lock.
Yeah.
She slows a lot of the forward pressure that Nia can put on her. It was a awesome change to see from Cravar's game.
Yeah.
Because in the first match, it was like, Nia, you let Nia get a little too active on top of you at close range to push you over and almost get you through.
Well, because she was trying to go after like triangles and stuff like that. And with somebody that's pushing in, it's something that you would expect would be there.
Yeah, eventually give itself to you. It was nice to see Cravar go, okay, I saw how that worked last time. And it wasn't even that long. It was less than a year ago.
Yeah.
And then you saw Cravar lock up the body triangle. I was like, cool. You were going to slow her down and then just, again, stayed active enough, really stifled what Nia was able to do in the guard and was able to take a decision because Cravar was more active with sub-attempts from the guard.
Yeah.
And then we have Suleiman Lowenthal defeating Helena Cravar. So at the end of the Polaris Squads event, you have 2 45-minute periods. If there are submissions, so every match is 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If you have no submissions, the last match will end at the right time.
Yeah.
But if you have a submission, essentially the clock is still not still running, but that match time doesn't get taken away. You don't lose 3 minutes or 5 minutes or however much time is left on the match. That just gets taken away essentially from the final match of the tournament. And so this last match was like a minute long.
Yeah.
And Suleiman knew it was close and knew it was a minute and knew that essentially they were down by 2.
Yeah.
So it was 11-9 with Team North America leading. It was like, I have to go and sub Cravar to keep us even here, to even this up for 2 points. She jumps over. She knows. It reminded me of Ben Askren and Jorge Masvidal, where you know someone is going to do a certain thing as soon as the match starts. And she goes, Helena goes to sit and pull, and Suleiman jumps over her guard and passes right into an armbar and triangle in top position. And you saw Cravar go, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
And really for about the full minute, about probably 45, 50 seconds of this match, defend back, defend mount, defend all of these things back to back to back. And then basically finally hip through and turn into guard to not get out of every sub attempt that are there. And then the match ends. And Suleiman takes it. Yeah. And it's still not quite enough for Team Europe to do it. Team North America defeats Europe 11-10. There was a big celebration on both sides. Did Team Europe think they had won?
No.
Or were they happy they won that match?
I think they were just so happy they won that match.
Okay.
Really, in all honesty. Because think about it. Did you think that anybody was going to beat her?
No.
Helena Cravar? No.
No. I did not. It was just with the dropouts and the team changes. For Suleiman to take that was really impressive. Again, it was 11-10. It speaks to how close this match was. And again, a lot of that was Cicerelli and a lot of that was Cravar, but that's sort of kind of what you expect from these events. Like when the level is, the level is diverse, but it is also very close for short 5-minute matches. You really have to have, not get lucky is the right word for it, but you have to have some standout performances and some good subs to be able to put points on the board in a format like this with these short matches. It was good. I liked the event. It was fun. It was very close. Team North America defeats Team Europe, and it was interesting. I like the squads format. There are some problems with it. I do like the decisions. I don't know how you would. We talk about a lot of the squads events. There's a lot of decisions or a lot of draws. I like decisions more than I like draws, but it is still really hard to. It's really hard to put top level competition away in 5 minutes. Yeah. I like the matches are shorter. I do think I like a 5-minute match over a 6-minute match for these because it keeps the time even. It keeps the event moving. Even a bad matchup that's a slow, kind of drawn out match, you're going to get a different dynamic in there in 6 minutes. Yeah. And so it keeps the thing moving. I don't ever kind of zone out during these, which is great. I do not know how you would get more decisions. I even think we talked about on the pre-show, if you make a submission worth 10 points, I don't really think it changes the dynamics of the matchup. It's the same problem the UFC has with finishes. It's like, you can give a guy a submission bonus, but he's in there doing what he needs to do to win that fight, to win that match. There's really no outside incentive you can give him to change how he's going to play.
And in some situations, the best thing you're going to get is a win by
a decision.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to put most of these women away in a 5-minute match, in a 10-minute match at all. Like, in a no time limit match at 90 minutes, someone's eventually just going to get too tired and give something up. But that's not good jiu-jitsu. We've seen it before.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen it time and time again. It's not good jiu-jitsu. So in the context of a watchable user experience and a viewer experience, it's really tough to facilitate a rule set where you have an open match that ends in a submission. Because, like, again, you have an overtime. It's like, well, you just gave them a rear naked choke. Yeah, it's not really like, that's not really a submission. You give them a locked in heel hook. Okay, yeah, you technically submitted them, but you couldn't have got there in an open round. That's the one thing I would like to see them still kind of develop the decision system that sort of pushes people towards submissions. But I like the focus on activity.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get bored watching the event. I watched it. It was exciting. It was an event that, again, if we weren't out coaching Quintet, I would have loved to have people over to watch this event. Because the squads event every single squads event they have run has been exciting.
Yeah.
Even if they're going to decision, they're exciting and they're interesting, and there's a lot to talk about. So I like where it's headed. Miranda, any other closing thoughts on Polaris 32 squads?
Nope.
On prelims, we had one match I want to talk about. Owen Jones defeating Carson Coles. 2-round match. Owen Jones, overwhelming leg lock offense, and Carson Coles, just really, really solid defense. Isn't able to get a lot of passing off. Isn't able to get a lot of anything off, but just stays really defensively sound versus Owen Jones, standing, passing. Yeah. Owen Jones gets a lot of good looks on the legs, but Carson just stays present and doesn't make a mistake to get caught. It was fun. As far as previews coming up, we have some really fun cards moving into the outro section of the show. Who's number one? 29 is in July 25th is Miami. Owen Jones is on the card. We have Wagner Hosha versus Kit Dale in a matchup that I'm like oddly excited about. It could be terrible.
Yeah.
But it also could be exciting. It depends on, like,
it could also,
Rosha can make this exciting.
It could also be a brawl.
It could also be a brawl.
Yeah.
Adele Fornerino versus Jasmine Hosha. That should be super fun. Two of the best women under 55 kilos going at it. We have Ryan Aiken versus Roberto Jimenez, a matchup that I cannot wait to preview because I've basically counted Ryan Aiken out so many times and been wrong so many times. And I've done the same thing with Roberto Jimenez, and now both guys are at a drastically different place in their career than they have ever been. Again, look at Roberto Jimenez's match with Giancarlo Bodoni on Aiga this last week.
Yeah.
Ryan Aiken is now the PGF champion. Like, both dudes are riding highs. Roberto Jimenez keeps winning everything in IBJJF World Championships.
Well, and he's doing AJP. He's doing
everything. Just looks better and better and better. So, like, that is a matchup I'm excited. Declan Moody is also on that card. That same weekend, we have BJJ Stars 16, the absolute GP, and some super fights. We have Pedro Mourinho in that, Azaki Bahens, Cyborg, Fabricio. Is that Fabricio Andre?
Yes.
He's in the absolute again?
Yes.
That's crazy. Devontae Johnson's in there. Josh Saunders is in there. Ryder Zaruski is in there. Heisam Rita is in there. We also have Helena Krovar versus Thalita Silva in the gi.
Yeah.
In the gi. So excited to see Krovar in the gi because she's a good gi competitor.
It's a championship match. I know. Don't know what weight that would be.
So excited. Probably like 45 would be my guess for them.
Because Thalita is like a middle.
That is a tough match for Krovar. But I'm happy that going to Brazil, fighting Thalita Silva in the gi. That is going to be super exciting. We also have Anna Rodriguez versus Julia Alves and Leandro Silva versus Miriam McQueen. Yeah. Or however they said it last time.
Yeah.
Mayhem.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah, they did say that.
It's going to be a
BJJ Stars
good
is
weekend.
Always fun because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and they're going to have a party. Always listen to the Portuguese commentary. As much as I love the English commentary, the Portuguese commentary gets wild. But that's in a month from now, so we'll preview that in both those in 3 weeks. That is going to be an action-packed show. Next week, probably talking about Aiga because that was fun. Team Kasai gets it done. Anything else, Miranda? Anything fun going on?
No, I'm trying to teach myself Portuguese. I'm using an online thing.
Duolingo?
Yeah, Duolingo.
Yeah, my wife's doing Japanese right now because we're going to go to our honeymoon eventually, hopefully this year in Japan. Okay. And so I need to get her thing expires so I can get back on that account for a family account soon. So we're going to try to learn Japanese so we can go to Japan, watch fights in Japan for our honeymoon finally after 5 years. And then I'll probably honestly go to Portuguese from there.
Yeah.
Because that'll be. I think it's like we're not far enough into jiu-jitsu where it is time to learn Portuguese.
Yeah,
It's like,
I think I need to know enough that when people start screaming things at other people, I have a gist of what they're saying.
I've been telling myself for 15 years that I would do it, and
whenever
it's like
I go to whenever I go to an IBJJF event, I get so I listen to them and I get all excited listening to them, but I have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah.
And they could be like, "Dude, kill him, dude."
that's
you
a
know?
lot of what it is. But
Yeah.
honestly, BJJ Stars commentary is not a small reason why I want to learn Portuguese. It is
Well,
not
because
an
they
insignificant
also the
part of that.
the American commentary, they don't show like the cool party.
That's
that
what I'm saying.
goes
It's just good commentary, and it's good commentary, but it's not all the wild Portuguese stuff happening or
Yeah.
Brazilians. It's like I want to be
We
part
don't-
of
we don't
whatever
know-
party that they're happening.
We don't know about the fights in the crowd and who's getting
Yeah.
arrested and all that shit.
Good time. So that is it, Miranda. Anything else?
What were we gonna talk about in the? Oh, we were talking about getting tickets for CGI.
Oh yeah,
We got tickets.
we got tickets. We got hotels. We got flights. I'm
We got-
amped to
we-
go there.
We got an Airbnb.
We got an Airbnb.
We're all gonna try to
We
stay
got
in
a
the same
pool.
house.
We're gonna
together.
see how that works. We've never done that before, which is really. We've talked about it for years. We've never actually done it.
I know,
so
well-
it's like half of the grappling grind team is going out there, and we're gonna see how it turns out. But again, we're all adults now.
We have a pool, so
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch CGI and then lounge in the pool and just shoot the shit about the event we saw that day. So the grappling rewind, we might do an episode from the pool outside. We
That
might
would-
be right next to the airport, so it might be in a flight path.
no, we're not next to the airport. We're pretty far. We're
Yeah,
far.
because you booked this.
Yeah.
I just like
I booked us. I booked us kind of towards the
Thomas and Mac.
Yeah, but further out. Like we're kind of in like the residential like foo-foo area.
Right, my wife and I just gave you the thumbs up and we're
Yeah.
like, do it, let's do
We're
it.
kind of near the mountains. The pretty
Okay.
mountains. I think we have a mountain view.
So we might do a podcast of the mountain view next to the pool after CJI if I can convince somebody from this team to do one in Vegas. But yeah, that's it. It'll be fun if you're out in Vegas and wanna train or just wanna say hello. Hit us up.
Yeah.
So as always on the show, I'm your host Maine, my co-host,
Miranda.
and we have the grappling rewinds. And that what it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Google Plus,
Until that shuts down.
we have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.